You're listening to the Nature's Image Farm podcast. I'm your host, Greg Burns, and we're talking bees, homesteading, and the old-time ways. This episode is brought to you by EnduraHive wax-dipped equipment. The days of painting bee boxes are over. Our unique wax-dip process expels water from the wood, replaces and impregnates it with our proprietary blend of microcrystalline wax, offering superior weather protection inside and out, without the mess or expense of paint. No paint, no rot, no hassle. EnduraHive, built to endure. For more information, check them out at naturesimagefarm.com. Now, on to the show. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. If you're tuning in live tonight, if you're listening to the replay later, or if you're catching us on the Nature's Image Farm podcast, welcome. We're glad you're here. We're joined tonight by Jenny, Bruce's Bees down in Dothan, Alabama. And we're waiting on our third co-host, Brian Coper from Castle Hives, will be on tonight. Between us two, Bruce, I hear he took his wife on a hot date. The fact that he's even getting on the chat tonight, woo, he's either in hot water or he really loves talking bees. So, Bruce,
maybe a little bit of both. You better be careful.
Bruce, how are things going in your neck of the woods down in Dothan, Alabama? It seems like up north here, we all got a healthy dose of cold all of a sudden. And it always amazes me, the first couple cold snaps, you really wonder, am I that much of a sissy? Because it just feels so cold at first and you're scrambling for the Carhartts and you're like, what in the world's going on? But it's looking like winter is coming, ready or not. What's new in your neck of the woods, Bruce?
Well, speaking of the weather cooling down, we're going to have lows in 30s and 40s for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be cold at night by our standards, and then the daytime we're going to be in the 60s, 50s, and 60s now for the next. Hold on, let me look. I think I'm in the wrong place. No, Dothan. Never mind.
Come on,
we're
Bruce.
going to be in the 30s and 40s at night and 60s and 70s in the daytime. And so,
oh, that sounds nice.
And it's going to be nice. I was looking at Sandy, Utah, where my wife is from. It's cold out there, but it's not really cold here. But of course, people around here are moaning and complaining, saying it's really cold. But
sure,
60 degrees for a high is not really cold, but compared to almost 100 degrees, it is kind of cold. So I kind of like it. I like the refresh. Yeah. It's refreshing. I like it. You can always bundle up, and I kind of like it to be a little bit chilly. I don't like it to get really cold like what you guys experience, but I do like a little chilly weather here or there. So as far as the bees go, we've got them pretty much, just going to be check and wait and just kind of trying to put them in cruise control here a little bit for the next little while. I did go out and went through some colonies at my most neglected bee yard this past weekend, and we had some mite issues. And so I'm going to be, I guess, hitting it with oxalic acid vapor. I treated them inconsistently. We had some that I didn't treat at all, some that got treated with some Apivar, and some that got treated with Formic Pro. And so I kind of lost track of what I did what to. And so I know the ones I put Formic in, but the rest of them, I'm not really sure what I did to what. And so anyway, I was a little bit disappointed in that, because overall my bees, the tests I've done have been really good. And so that one particular spot, though, seems to be in a little bit of trouble. So the bees look great, but they can crash in a hurry. So we'll see what happens there. But beyond that, haven't been doing too much with them. I do have a video I'm working on right now of that experience in the bee yard. It was actually last weekend. It was, I guess this past weekend, I think, is when that was. So time goes by so fast. But that's kind of what's going on down here. Not a whole lot. It's we're kind of getting in that holding pattern a little bit.
Yeah.
How about you, Greg?
It's that time of season, the end of the kind of fall harvest season. It gets spooky by all stretches of the imagination, and so tonight our thumbnail is kind of the spider web with the mite attacking us turning us all green. And it's that time of year where you're like, well, you hate to keep saying it is what it is, but there's nothing really you're going to do other than a few manipulations and getting some nukes plugged into some bigger colonies, and kind of feels good because here we are at the end of this road. The road goes on forever though, and we're just now on to the next mile marker for next year, working towards all those things. I'm sure we'll get into that tonight, but I want to thank everyone for joining us again tonight. The Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. So many familiar faces here cruising in the comments. I want you guys to know that if we don't respond to you directly or get a chance to call you out directly by name, it might be it's kind of hard to explain. But when you're looking at the screen from this side of the broadcast, the comments they go by so quick on this right hand side of the screen that you can't read them hardly even and or keep up with that. But we want you to know that we appreciate you, and we love having you guys here. We'll try to tune in and pay attention there. Tonight we're going to do you're going to change it up just a little bit and kind of get into a little bit of a late season question and answer session. It's the time of year where you're really reevaluating. Okay, what did I do this year? Was it the right steps? What is left still to do for this year? What do we need to do to get our colonies in a good position for next year? What is the overwintering strategy look like? What does the overwintering setups look like? There are a lot of questions this time of year, and I think it's a lot of fun having our each individual perspectives. Bruce being down in Alabama, me being here in East Central Ohio, here near Zanesville, Ohio, and of course Brian at Castle Hives up in the northeast corner of the state. We're going to give, looks like Brian has, looks like he's had his dinner. He's wiped off the barbecue sauce off his face, got his beard touched up. I think he's ready to, there he is. Look at that. Brian,
Hey, Brian.
Welcome back to the Stream Team Beekeeping Show. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. I felt all out of place because the last month or so, last probably 5 weeks, I've been always up, I've been in the hotel. So I come down here tonight and I'm like, oh crap, I got to get the camera. I got to get the light. I get and then I'm getting I couldn't find the adapter that plugs into the computer to hook everything up.
We all had technical difficulties tonight. We had to start a little bit late. It was crazy.
I tell you, it was one of those things where what could go wrong did go wrong. We were, if we learned anything about being on the farm is you have got to constantly improvise. You got to constantly figure out the next plan to move forward. Tonight we were going to have our buddy Ian Stepler on to talk a little bit about his mite strategy and such. And it's that time of year for him where plans change just turn of the heel. And so shout out to Ian Stepler, Canadian Beekeepers blog. He's cruising, listening to the Stream Team in the cab of a tractor, working the fields at night with lights. So that's pretty cool. So shout out to Ian. We'll get him on here later on this year and kind of get a recap of his season. Looking forward to having Ian on the channel here to talk about, you guys remember, if you go back in time to early spring, we had a really great conversation with Ian on mite strategy, like which treatments are best, which approach is best. And you'll find it's a kind of a trick question. There really isn't a best. There is whatever seems to be working at the time and why, and these combinations of different factors, known and unknown, that really go into what decisions that we make for our bees in the future of the bees and their health. And so Ian posed a lot of great questions. It was a great kind of a think tank session. And so I'm looking forward to kind of circling back with Ian on that to find out more about, okay, which strategy did he employ? How effective was it? And what did he learn this year? What does that mean for next year? So stay tuned in the future with a Stream Team chat with Ian Stepler. I also have a great episode with Ian to come out later on this winter from the last conference, where we kind of dig into a little bit of, is there such thing as a work-family balance when it comes to beekeeping and raising a family and a family business? You'd be surprised by his answer, and he was extremely well said. So I'm looking forward to getting that conversation out this winter. I also just dug up and found the long-lost Fred Dunn session. Now,
Wow.
it was one of those things where we had to go into the cave. We had to go. Is it is it spelunking? We had to go spelunking to find this long lost episode. If you guys remember, just a couple years back, visited with Fred Dunn at his place, had to traverse through all kinds of snow and ice and shrew attacks, and really was risking life and limb to capture that interview, and we had a great time. It was a parody.
Wow.
It's you go back in time and check out that video with interview with Fred Dunn. It is hilarious, but we really get into some really incredible treatment-free talk, and it is extremely valuable information. And long story short, we were having some technical difficulties with audio and video and all kinds of things. We've got it all sorted out, put together. Looking forward to getting that video out. I've got a brand new video coming out this week. I think it's going to release tomorrow at 5:00 from the Stream Team Creator Convergence with the one and only David Burns. And what a great conversation that was. So there's a lot of great content to come out. The last two pieces of content that I want to tease is we were honored with a visit yesterday from David Hatch of Hatch's Honey. David is a Army veteran and a 3-time cancer survivor and a beekeeper here in Ohio, and has a tremendous, powerful testimony that we are really looking forward to sharing with our audience. And the last little fun video to come out is a pollen patty trial, and we see which seems to be working best, if we could even say such a thing. So anyways, Bruce, that's kind of a little recap of what's going on here in video land, if you could call it that. We're trying to get more content out, but yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Glad Brian had some barbecue. I'm thinking Brian went for, I don't know. Bruce, let's play a game here. In the comments, everybody, let's try to guess. So Brian took Mrs. Castle Hives out for dinner tonight. And I think a lot of us would say, WC Steakhouse. Does anybody know what that is? If you know what the WC Steakhouse is in the comments, put the real name in there. Let's guess. What did Brian have for dinner tonight? Bruce, you start, and then let's see who guessed it in the comments. And for the first person that guesses it, how about a giveaway, Brian?
I don't think nobody will guess it because it's a local place in Cleveland.
How about style? How about maybe style of food or dish?
What dish? We're going to guess dish. I think that'll be good.
You think dish?
Because I have no idea what the barbecue places are up there in Ohio. I would be
it wasn't barbecue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, then let's see. How about a giveaway, Brian? Whoever gets the closest. I got some brand new Stream Team podcast merch.
Nice.
You guys want to see it? Okay, so leave the comments here on the side on what Brian had for dinner. So first is one of the great big giant Nature's Image stickers. Okay, right? You ready for this? Check this out.
I want to see it. I want to see it. I don't even think I've seen these. Wow, look at that.
Look at that. Official Stream Team sticker.
We're like
right, and then one more sticker. Now. Little merch pack. Sticker pack. We'll send out. Are you guys ready for this one? This one is really cool. There's a little bit of something special. I'm not going to tell you what it is until you get one and have it in your hands to look at it. And it's the kind of thing is when you see it, if you know, you know. I'll leave it at that. So ready?
These guys are going off. Ooh, look at that.
That's cool.
That's slick. Quail eggs and ham.
Quail eggs and ham. Sam,
these guys are going fancy. I'm just a simple kind of guy sometimes.
We're going to star some questions while you're dropping the comments. If you would, put any questions you have for us tonight, put in all caps so we can easy filter through, and then we'll start to star them.
Do you see what is right there?
Is that a Bohemia Bees plaque of admiration?
Well, that's the plaque covering the front of...
Is that a whiskey barrel?
It's a bourbon barrel.
Wow.
Case of beer. Jose is, he's, that's not even right. That is not even right.
So maybe take Taco Bell off the list of things.
Yeah, nobody still sirloin and potatoes. No,
Oh, look at this. John Lawler knows what's up. The
White
WC
Castle.
Steakhouse, White Castle, baby.
grits.
That's the
Cotton
gift that
here.
keeps on giving.
You can't get grits up here. Russell, are the quail still laying? So the quail, we used to get 25, 26 eggs a day, and we were down to 8 eggs a day. So I'll take it though. I mean, it's fine. So
Sirloin and potatoes.
nobody's gonna guess it.
Oh,
Nobody
now this guy knows you a little bit because this is right up your alley. I know that for a fact.
Well, that's because he has the best name there is. His name's Brian. So
I don't even know what that is.
Kielbasa and pierogies.
Nope, never had it.
And Bruce.
Well, Bruce knows what a cat head biscuit is, but I don't think Brian does.
No, donuts.
Man, no. Okay, well, this segment is going great, fellas.
So I had.
Ooh, look at this, David Lewis. I bet you guys.
I'm gonna
beef, sweetbread.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Cracker Barrel. Breakfast for dinner.
No. We went to a place.
Wait. Okay, tell us the name, and then we'll get to guess the dish.
Cooper's Hawk.
That's a wine place, isn't it?
Ding ding.
It's a what place?
So it's a wine place.
Oh,
I'm going to go with. Brian went with a chicken dish.
No.
I guess I can't win the free stickers.
No, everybody's saying like.
Look at this, Brad Elephant. I think tuna fish ice cream.
No, I'm not eating tuna fish fondue. No.
So at a winery, you think there's got to be a chicken dish?
Cheese, something with cheese. Was there cheese involved?
I don't know that I've ever eaten at a winery, but
there's cheese involved. Okay,
there was cheese. Is it fondue? Fondue?
No.
Fondue. What do you have with fancy wine to eat? Fancy food.
I didn't drink any wine. I had unsweetened iced tea.
Did you have that? What do you call it? Faux gras? Did you have faux gras, Brian?
No.
Was it a big? I'm going to guess this. I have no idea what they sell at that restaurant, but was it a nice big gourmet hamburger? Was that it?
Get out of town.
It was
hamburger and box wine. You went all out tonight.
No, it was this blue cheese with fried onion sprinkled something or another burger that was. If I get a good burger with blue cheese, oh man!
The reason I thought about that.
I'm going to send Bruce the stickers.
No, we'll do it.
We'll draw again.
We'll do a hashtag for those. Hey, but yeah, there's a place that sells my honey. Actually, here is a friend of mine. It's called the Cellar here in Dothan, and it's a wine. They sell wine. It's a cellar that finds steaks and wine. And the reason I thought of burgers because they make a really good gourmet burger there. So I'm like, well, maybe that's what that is. So maybe it's some type of place. They sell a lot of my glass muth or however you say it, bottles of honey there.
You sell it. What do you call it? It's whatever you call it. You're the one that sells it.
I actually got on YouTube and they said muth. I think they said muth or muth, something like that.
That's whatever. So my plan for that thing that's sitting back there is I probably will get 50 or 60 of those nice muth jars, and I want to get a real nice label on them that'll have I'll count out. I think I'll probably end up with 50 or whatever, pounds out of it, but I'll do bottle 1 of 50. I want to number them, and then I was thinking on wax sealing the top of them also, make them all fancy looking. So
look at you, Mr. Coper. Coper. Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing more classy, I don't think, than a muth jar with wax sealed.
Those look beautiful.
Top with nice labels. That's really good.
I've got one on display of yours here. It's too good looking to want to sell.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Brian, what's going on? You're probably similar weather. Get a little wake up to a little snow this morning.
So it missed us. I think every area around us got snow because north of us, on a work chat, one of my coworkers that lives more up in the snow belt, they actually had snow last night, and then he had like 1 or 2 inches. Another one of my coworkers in Toledo, I guess they got all out hammered over on the northwestern part of the state. We had flurries start last night, and I looked outside, and of course we walked the pup over just so he could and he was looking like, what the heck is this stuff? And as fast as what the flurry started, they stopped. And they were calling for us to get 1 to 3 inches.
Oh my gosh.
I woke up and looked at this. First thing I did was I looked outside, not a single speck. So it bypassed us. But now, like east of us, when you go into Mercer, Pennsylvania, they had to shut down Route 80 because there was, I don't even know how many car pileup, semi trucks jackknifed and everything else. So it just it skirted right around my area, thankfully. Wow. So yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into some questions tonight. If you've got questions, go ahead and put them in all caps, and we'll start starring them. Which means, I guess that means nothing to you, but we'll start organizing them so we can get to them on the back. Do have to thank Mr. Coper Castle Hives for the $20 super chat. Brian, thanks for supporting your show. Appreciate you, buddy.
I figured I'd get your attention. I was sitting down there in the basement. I'm like, they're not letting me up. So I was I guess I'll just.
We wanted to make sure you got all the barbecue burps out, and you got yourself composed. And
yeah, we did have some kind of like bougie kind of Brussels sprout thing. So, and when you
was it shredded with bacon?
When you eat Brussels sprouts and then you have an hour car ride home.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
My wife was ready to kill me.
You just tell her, honey, I'm a real giver. You'll be giving from that one for a little while.
Go to reach over. I'm like, here, hold my hand. She's like, I'm not holding your. It's disgusting.
Well, hey, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Stream Team Charcuterie Show, where we talk about all things chicken and bacon and cabbage and culinary desires of the heart. But hey, we appreciate you guys hanging in tonight. There are so many folks in here I'd like to shout out. We would go on forever. I see a bunch of the regulars. We got Grammy's midwife, Homestead. We got our Randy Reed, Trails in Farm, Russell Koopman, David Lewis, Bruce Brown checking in from Ohio, Hickory Hives, Flower Street. We have that B-Man of Faith Apiaries. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We have our buddy B Original Tennessee Tim, M&J Habitat. And you know what? I've seen that name pop up on the comments here for a little while. And M&J Habitat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you guys stopped out a couple times this year and placed a jar of honey here on the shelf. So appreciate that. Kodiak Lee, good to see you in here. Gloria Yoder checking in with trail bologna and cheese. Wow. That does sound pretty good tonight. Brian Lee, John Lawler, the list goes on and on and on. I can't scroll up fast enough, but hey, we appreciate you guys being here. Tonight we wanted to talk a little bit about just a little bit about bees, maybe a lot more about everything else, but we want to answer your questions. As you guys have figured out, we can ramble on about anything, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, put them in all caps, and we will do our best to circle back to that. But it's that time of year. We're talking about the weather, fellas, and where this is a problem is right now. It's a very clear sky. The stars are out massively. I was hearing coyotes off here on the ridge. It's just the epitome of cold, and it's early, and it's not even that cold. It's just barely under 30 Fahrenheit. But where this is a problem is if you look at your forecast over the next 10 to 15 days, we go from 28s at night to mid 40s at night, which means the days are back up in the upper 50s and 60s, which is absolutely horrific with bees, because now we have bees that are constantly going into cluster, breaking cluster, going into cluster, breaking cluster. And I think folks are going to start seeing an enormous amount of food consumption like they haven't seen before. If this is your first year beekeeping or this is your 10th, no year is ever the same. But one thing is for sure, weather in the fall really impacts the colonies. It's almost as though if we could just skip fall and go right to winter, I feel like it'd be a lot better in a lot of different scenarios there. But a lot of questions come up this time of year. So let's go ahead and get to it. We'll start with the first question here from our local Ohio beekeeper, Nick Zooks. Nick asks, business question, how do you calculate the input costs to get a hive brought the year?
Through the year, probably.
Okay, yeah, get a hive through the year. Could you share your number? Boy, that number is nearly impossible to get to unless you've got a little context. So let's just, we'll work on a couple assumptions here, and then Nick have some follow-up comments, and then we'll try to tie into it. So again, the question, how do you calculate the input cost to get a hive through the year? Could you share your number? Well, great question. It depends. So much depends on quite a few things. Bruce, let's start with you. When you think about this question, how much does it cost to get a hive through the year? What does that question mean to you? And let's spitball some rough numbers. What do you think that looks like for you in your context?
It's just so many variables, because it depends on if you're talking about production colonies, if you're talking about smaller colonies, if you're talking about, it just depends on what you're talking about. And then the state of your equipment, the year is so different. I really don't know a number on that, to be honest, guys. I really don't have any ballpark number even for that. I know you got to calculate all the sugar you feed, all the different supplements and mite treatments. And I have never sat down and tried to pencil that out per hive, per colony. If I had a number, it would be more the total that I've spent. And then I guess I could take total number of hives and divide the profit minus the, just do a business calculation on that. But I've never actually done that. I probably should, but I never have. I know my buddy, Davis McLaughlin, he's the guy that's kind of partnering with me in some things. He is actually a banker, and he has that down to like a dollar amount, exactly what he thinks it is. And I can't remember what that number is here in the South, but I don't know. And I can't give you an honest answer on that because I really don't. I've got hives, everything from 5-frame nukes all the way up to double deeps. And obviously consumption, it just varies so much in different areas. I just really don't know. I probably need to look into that and just see at the end of the year what my expenses were and total number of colonies and make it divide out. I could probably come up with a ballpark figure by doing that on average, but I don't know.
Brian, what about you? What does that question mean to you? If you take Castle Hives comments here, if you take the price of sugar per pound, multiply times 3.145926, also known as pi, then divide by the number of colonies that consume protein more than 2 pounds when it's over 60. You go on and on and on and on.
Basically, what that says right there is I have no idea. I mean, if you look at, for me, I would have to, I guess I could sit down and figure it out, but I'd have to consider treatments throughout the apiary, and then divide it out. But the number of colonies have varied throughout the year, so that's going to vary. I'd have to be very specific, month to month, really, to break that down. And it'd be impossible, because earlier in the year I had more colonies than what I do now, and feeding them, and then you've got the supplements that go in them. It's just, I don't even know how I would be able to figure that out.
I think we would have to have some more information. You would have to, this gets broken down in a lot of different ways. I think it gets broke down on, are we talking about getting an overwintered colony through? Yeah. What does that look like? You're talking about the woodenware, you're talking about all the equipment, the supplies. On top of that, you may have inputs like pollen patties, syrup, treatments, and all of this goes to say we're not even factoring in time and labor, which is a horse of a different color altogether. If we're talking about getting a package started and off to a good start and growing and actually produce a honey crop, which is possible and is done all the time, especially even here in Ohio, it all looks a little different. You start getting into the trouble that I find is when we try to get too specific, we end up chasing your tail. And then if you plan on those specifics, you want to be able to cost project is important. You want to be able to project, okay, what is it going to cost per colony to go from point A to point B? Unfortunately, Nick, we don't know what point A to point B looks like, but let's say Nick is talking about raising some production colonies for honey. Let's assume that let's make this question as simplified as possible. And let's say Nick is specifically asking, what does it take to get a colony from, let's say, I don't know, let's go September until April. Like what kind of inputs might you be looking at? I think for me, I'm budgeting probably at a minimum 2 1-pound pollen patties at a minimum. I'm also going to budget on average probably 2 to 3 gallons of feed is about on average. I'm also going to be budgeting some winter fondant, and I'm also going to be budgeting 2 rounds, at least 2 styles of treatments, meaning I'm going to budget Apogard and or Formic, and then I'm also going to be, if you could, budget OA on several rounds post that, and then through December. So if you start, spitballing and getting onto those numbers, you get to conservatively anywhere from $60 to $90, depending on what exactly it is that you're doing and why. If we are in a situation where the colonies don't need much, they don't need anything, or the use of the colony is in a position where you don't need to add any of that, and of course your costs go way less. And some folks are maybe a little more conservative, but it's a great question, and I think it warrants a deeper dive into it. But you'd almost have to break those out seasonally. Also, use of hive, intended yield, and then also there is a certain amount of there is almost a planned obsolescence for each colony at a certain extent. If you do figure in the entire cycle of a colony and woodenware use, so it gets complicated. It's a great question, but
that's tough. Yeah.
And let's see, and we'll just quickly follow up here. He follow ups and says, yes, overwinter production hive. I think it's important to compare. Is it worth it financially to split in June versus July? Can I profit off a package? Helps answer questions like this. Here's a very uncomfortable truth, and I'll bring it up because Nick asked the question. There is, how do I say this? There are those out there who their strategy is honey yield, and they're doing it in a way to where they don't even bother with any overwintering or post-yield maintenance of the colonies. And they have no problem with just throwing packages at equipment every single spring because the ends justify the means. If they spend $140 on a package and they're throwing on existing equipment and they put a few gallons of feed on it to get anything else built up and started, and they're able to pull a super or 2 of honey off there, let's just assume that one package only produces 1 super the entire year, and that was all of the yield you were looking for. Let's do the quick math on that. 3 pounds per medium frame times 10 is, how much is that, Brian?
3, say that again.
Okay, 30. So let's take 3 pounds of honey per medium frame times 10 frames per medium 30. Super. 30 pounds. Let's times that by the average price of honey in our area is probably around $12 a pound. So take $12 a pound times 30, $320. Okay, so at $320, if you bought a package for $140 and you put $20 or $30 in feed on them at $170, even if you walk away from those bees, you're looking at a potential net yield where you're almost doubling your money. Now, I'm not saying that's the move. I'm not saying that's the ethical or responsible move, But when it comes to numbers, that's an option. That can happen. Mm-hmm. Now, are you going to get a full super off a package on 2 gallons of feed? Well, you could, if you have a flow that kicks in, both pollen and nectar. And maybe if you're only adding a couple pollen patties on there, you start to see that the net can quickly outweigh what you thought. But for us, building those assets to grow further exponentially, that's the game we're in. Not just to resupply and restock every year. We want this asset to grow and split out and to grow and grow and grow and grow. So when you start framing your thought process in gross and net yields, the conversation turns quickly. So anyways, we could blab on all night about that. Great question. Brian, I've got 2 questions from you.
So, yeah, that's from... There was a comment on my last video, and it's from Kustrim. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He actually posted this on my video. So said, "Hi, I have a question. Maybe you can ask in Stream Team Chat." So said I would do that, and I'm doing it. If I do a split without a queen and let the bees make queen cells, and then after 3 days, can I go remove the larvae from the cell and put a new larvae from a queen that I want to make a new queen in that same cell filled with royal jelly? What will happen? Do the bees continue to feed the new larvae, or will they remove it? That is above me. So
let's repeat that for everyone who has troubles with words.
I think what he's saying is if you make a hive queenless, you start to raise queen cells. Okay, so you get 3 or 4 days later, you have a larvae in there that's going to become a queen. You recognize that queen cell. He's asking if you could take a similar aged larvae from a desirable queen and swap those larvae out and put a larvae in that cell from another queen. Would it take? Would they go ahead and continue to feed that and cap that cell and turn it into a queen, or would they just destroy that new larvae?
That's exactly it.
Outside of asking why you would do that, I think technically, I mean, if you could get the same age material replaced, I don't see why they wouldn't. But I've got lots of other questions on why.
The reasoning is, so he has in here, and let the bees make, let me see here, I'm going to put a new larvae, and it's put a new larvae from a queen that he wants. Yeah, so you've got one colony that maybe there's not, doesn't have the genetics that you want, but you have a colony with genetics that you want to spread throughout your apiary. That's what he wants to do, is pull a larvae from that desired colony and put it into that other split so that they would raise up a queen that in a sense would be a daughter from his good colony.
That's an interesting rabbit hole. Can you guys think at all what let's say the whoever asked the question has a genuine reason. Can you guys think of why would someone go that route?
I don't know. I guess the point is it's almost like people are saying in here, it's almost like grafting, but I think the risk is once they've started making a queen cell out of something they've chosen or something they've started working on, if you start messing with that, I just don't know if they would continue, if you change it around, even if you put it in there and it's not the cell they've chosen, they've been working on. My thoughts are they might reject it, but I guess the only way to know is if you try it and see. To me, it would be easier just to actually graft from the queen you want and then, do it that way, or put the split you made, you could take a frame of eggs from the desirable queen and put it in there, and they would make their own queen cells out of that particular frame. And that way you'd be accomplishing the same thing without trying to kind of mess with what they've already started. I don't know if it'll work. I've never even thought of that. That's actually a pretty interesting thought. I've never even thought of doing that, but it would be easier to me
There
just
is
to
a
drop
method
it.
called double grafting where you go through and you graft into your cell cups, whether you're making wax cups or JZBZs. You put them into your cell starter, and then you whatever doesn't take or does take, you take whatever takes back out. And some folks have different ideas on the amounts of jelly, dry grafting, wet grafting, and so they will go through and do a double grafting technique. In my mind, I'm going way out here and not even left field. I'm in a different universe thinking about, okay, well, why would somebody want to do that? Mm-hmm. If the question is a matter of will the bees tend to it and draw it out? I think they absolutely will, as long as you don't flip it, that it can still feed and breathe. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. The question becomes, well, why would you do it? Now, if there were, here's where my thoughts went. Okay, what if there was some type of intrinsic, what's the word I'm looking for? If there was some kind of intrinsic value and some intrinsic quality, maybe is a better way of thinking it, on having the bees in the colony be the ones that actually work up the queen cell. If there is some kind of intrinsic quality or characteristic that's only found by the bees from the mother colony making the cell in the colony itself, then okay, maybe if you can figure out what that is, if there is such a thing, then maybe the quality would matter enough. But in that situation, what I would simply do is let's call colony A was the first colony making the cells, and colony B is the donor larva that you want the genetics for. I would let them both make queen cells. I would go in colony A, knock all the queen cells down, and then just simply cut the queen cell out of the preferred genetic line and just drop the queen cell into the other colony, or just take the frame from the preferred genetic line and just pop it in after it's capped. It's one thing to graft it and then to start it. It's something altogether for them to actually continue to feed, develop, cap, nurture, finish, hatch. So great question, though. I see not every question has to have a cut and dry answer, and not every question really has to have an answer. I like a lot of the questions that make you think, well, let's dig deep. Why would you think about doing something like that? Good question. Brad Oliphant has a question here. Oliphant? Yeah, that sounds, yeah. Could you speak on your queen breeding program and how you like the traits of Caucasians? Brian, you first.
So I've had, through my years, I've had Italians. I think everybody has had Italians. I've had Carnies. I've had Saskatraz. I've gone through a number of different breeds. In the last few years, I've switched over, and it was more from, I think my first exposure to the Caucasians was from you, and that's also more what whenever I ordered them, like if I got them from Uribe honeybees, I said the Caucasians. I have really enjoyed the temperament of them. I've overwintering. I think they do really well overwintering. They're good honey producers. I just overall, I think, like for my style of beekeeping, the Caucasians fit. But that's my style. Some people like the bees that, they're on your face and they're stapling your, pants to your ankles and all that type of stuff like Bruce dealt with. He's changing up though. But they really fit. I mean, they're really a good bee to work with. And I could go on about a bunch of different stuff, but the short and sweet of it is, from what I've seen in the different types, different breeds, they work well for me. So,
Bruce?
Well, I'm just getting started with the Caucasian stock from you, Greg, and I've got some Michael Palmer queens. I'm not sure exactly what their genetics are. They seem to be pretty good so far, but from what I've seen in the few I got from you last year, Greg, and the ones I've got this year so far, just in the last few weeks, I like them. I do. They seem to be productive. They seem to brood back in the wintertime, even here in the South where it never gets super cold. And, they remind me a little bit of the Carniolan stock from what I've seen so far, but I haven't had them long enough to really be able to make a really big judgment on them. But so far I've been pleased with them. They just seem to be very gentle and somewhat frugal. They brood way back in the winter, and then in the spring, they tend to kind of explode when you want them to. But that's kind of been my experience. I also, just to kind of, and I know you don't claim this to be a fact, Greg, or anything, but it seems like they seem to be pretty, fairly resistant to diseases and mite resistance and so forth. Now, I do treat. I'm going to tell you I treat, but it doesn't seem like I've had any real high mite counts and stuff in those colonies that I've gotten from you, or I think what happened last year, we put him in a really difficult situation, about the worst time of the year you can put queens in there, Greg, when you brought them down, and some of them made it through winter. Some of them, I think, superseded pretty quickly, and I think I've got several daughters of those Pepto Pinks in there, but they seem to be doing well, and they produced some honey and made it through this year, and those are the ones I'm kind of, between them and Michael Palmer, I'm kind of trying to get that Ozark bee yard straightened out, and it'll be interesting to see what I come up with coming into spring, with your stock and his stock and some of my local rugged Alabama mutts that aren't mean. So that combination, I think, is going to be very interesting to see what we end up with. But so far, I like it. They're beautiful, beautiful bees. They're kind of a dark color, and they're calm, and it's just kind of neat kind of fun to work with them.
What I just heard Bruce say, and I want to give Greg, his shot here to defend his program here, but what I just heard Bruce say is completely opposite from what I've heard recently, in that Greg is breeding a bee that produced, as far as Bruce's mite counts, they were lower. So according to what I recently heard, I heard somewhere that commercial breeders are breeding a less resistant and inferior bee.
What?
Just to go along with, the companies that are making treatments. You're breeding in genetics they're inferior genetics, Greg.
Well, the thing about that, I guess, is that's a rabbit hole that we'll get lost into that. The conversation quickly goes to
I had to.
Anyways, let's just say that's a very long conversation for another day. But if you truly think that commercial queen breeders are breeding queens to be intentionally less mite resistant, so they can then turn around and sell you treatments, I just don't know what to say to that. The fact of the matter is, the many commercial queen breeders that I know have detailed, well-ran breeding programs with the specific intent on breeding from the best every single year, and for very specific reasons. There are different queen breeders producing different genetics with different characteristics and attributes that are tailored for their customer base. There are commercial queen breeders out there that specialized in early brooding, fast and heavy brooding genetics, so you can get pollination colonies built up fast and furious for that specific job. There are folks out there breeding queen genetics specifically for overwintered and mite resistance. There are folks out there specifically breeding commercial lines of queens that are hygienic, that are resistant. So I don't know where that came from, Brian, but I would, let's just say we're going to agree to disagree on that. I would like to put together a video with a more detailed explanation of our queen breeding program. But in short, what I'll say to that now is years ago, we started off with the ideals of a treatment-free program. And what we found is that, sure, we could get some bees to live for 1 or 2 years, but hardly any past the 3rd year. And the ones that could make it past the 3rd year, their daughters absolutely would not pass along. Those genes would not pass from mother to daughter and replicate. And so we had to try to understand, what are we seeing? Why is this not passing down? What is passing down? But it put us on a path of continual improvement year after year, of only breeding from the best, only breeding from those survivors. And as we do that year after year, we're monitoring our mites. We're breeding from the colonies that are doing the best job every single year on doing the best they can to keep those mite numbers down, the healthiest colonies, the colonies that are overwintering the best, putting on the biggest crops, making the right amount of brood, downsizing like we like, that are frugal colonies, making a lot of propolis. That is not exactly what I would say is breeding for mite vulnerability to sell treatments to folks. There are a lot of great folks doing great work out there with queens, but what does this have to do with Caucasians? Is Caucasians they're an influence. Caucasians are not a silver bullet. Carniolians are not a silver bullet. Buckfast, Saskatraz, you name the whatever. There are no silver bullets out there. I would be very leery of somebody who is posturing and developing queen lines as silver bullet queen lines, because what you'll find is they don't exist. If they did exist, every commercial beekeeper would be buying up every single silver bullet queen line, because that affects their bottom line too. Queens and colonies that wouldn't require treating, that are prolific and happy and healthy and resistant to all things icky, yeah, sign me up. That's not there yet.
One thing is, I think it was maybe Ian I heard, or somebody brought up a point of this where they were talking about some of this stuff in one of his, I think in a comment in one of his videos. I can't remember who it was, but he spends tens of thousands of dollars per treatment on Apivar strips. I mean, like, I think he said it was $20,000 or $25,000 for one treatment of all of his colonies. And so to think that the actual commercial beekeepers they want a lot of mites is just, that's kind of a little bit ludicrous. They obviously, people would love to have mite-free bees. It's been a lot better. And there is obviously an industry to sell the products, but it's not the commercial beekeepers trying to keep that rolling. That's not the key. It's just want to keep their bees alive is what you want to do. And I think that each queen breeder has their own goals and objectives in mind. There are people doing some really good things with the, trying to develop the VSH lines and by different studies. And there's just so many different people doing different things and trying to develop better bees. Everybody's doing it their own way. And, like you said, the way you've worked on yours, you take the best of the best, and that's what you graft from. And that's what any commercial queen breeder worth their salt is going to do, whatever your goal is. And so, you're trying to, if you're just going to be satisfied with weak bees or not good bees, then you're not going to go very far in a queen breeding operation. It's just not going to work out well. You've got to have that goal in mind to create a better bee. And so I just think there's too much kind of fighting back and forth between the traditional, commercial beekeepers or even backyard beekeepers that treat and those who are quote unquote treatment free. I think that everybody just needs to do what they feel is best for them. I know that I tried the treatment-free route for a while, and I lost a bunch of colonies doing that. And so I just finally decided to figure it out, and it still took me, probably year 7 or 8 before I really got serious about trying to figure it out. And really the last 2 years, I've really tried to figure it out more than ever before. I went from, throwing some stuff my mentor gave me in the hot colonies to nothing, to oxalic acid vapor, once a week, for 3 weeks in a row, a couple times a year, thinking that was getting the job done, to now I actually have a program where I'm trying to assess, what's going on and the number of mites and see if it's effective. I'm really trying to actually be more intentional and scientific with what I'm trying to do. And so I think everybody goes through processes and stages. And so, James Lee's Bees says their treatment free is a lot of work. If you get to that point, it is a lot, because you've got to really be watching and trying to pick from the, it's just, there are people that are doing it, but it's just I think we just need to be careful and not just make the biggest thing that I have an issue with is people making claims of being treatment free and then selling bees and then, all the bees die. And it's just, that's what I don't like. They sell people bees riddled with mites and with all kinds of problems and diseases. They're treatment free, but do those bees survive more than just a few months or a year or two? Are they just actually setting someone up to fail by doing that? Mm-hmm. That's the problem I have with it, is where they're saying, "Oh, my bees are treatment free and they're going to be fine," and then they can really discourage a lot of people that way. I think new beekeepers I feel like you need to go through the process of learning how to treat, how to actually take good care of your bees, how to be a good steward of the bees. Mm-hmm. And then down the road, once you understand bees better, the biology of bees, once you've kind of assessed and figured things out a little bit on your own, then if you want to try that a little bit on your own, that's kind of up to you. But just don't buy into the, I'm just going to be treatment free from the start, survival of the fittest. I just, I think that's a little bit risky. Mm-hmm. Reckless in a sense to do that.
And where that gets really challenging too is we all have ideals, right? And I think we all should have ideals, but with any enterprise, with any business, you have your ideals. At some point, you develop enough feedback with your experience that you are faced with the ugly and uncomfortable truth that sometimes the ideals do not align with the reality of the situation. You may find yourself in a situation where the time, effort, energy, cost, and expense to run this program with the intended ideal has consequences and has net yields that are in the negative. And you will find yourself chasing your tail continuously, not producing a product uniformly, consistently, that can do the things that you want to do, but you keep pushing on because of pride and ego. When you can look at what you're doing as a number, as a stat, as data, you can pivot and you can quickly say, well, hey, here's what these numbers say. Now it's time to change it up and do something different. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. After having several years and hundreds of colonies that weren't making it on their own, and the very small number of colonies that did, when we were not getting those to replicate through daughters, through granddaughters, and trying to give all these things a chance, eventually we got to the point to where you can't work on a breeding program if you do not have any bee numbers or bees alive. You've got to do something at some point to keep a certain subset of bees alive so you have bulk bees to work with. Otherwise, you are always at a loss to try to do this thing and practice the ideals to see if it fleshes out to become a reality. But that's an important step that I think a lot of us take. And as harsh as it may seem, a lot of us have already been down that road, bought the t-shirt, and have the scars to show for it. The thing about it is, as looking back at the ideals that we had in a lot of things on the farm, when you're into your first 5 years of doing any of these things, it's easy to run on ideals. But it's a part of the learning process. It's a part of the growing process. It's the part of building a business process where you have to flesh these things out for yourself. A lot of us have to find it out, have to get good, come to grips, get comfortable with those uncomfortable truths. And that gives you the freedom to actually make good decisions moving forward. It's one thing to qualify colonies and say, hey, these colonies here made it through the winter, right? So you're qualifying and saying, hey, great, we've got a subset of bees that made it through the winter. Well, congratulations. It's another thing altogether to start to quantify what that actually means. What are those numbers, and how do you pinpoint and say, these bees do well at overwintering, these bees are doing well at brooding, these bees are doing well at producing a honey crop, these bees are doing well with little or no treatments. That's a horse of a different color. And I think a lot of folks who, if you see, get uber excited and over the top about their program, especially treatment-free, a lot of them are in the early phases and stages of developing and figuring out what this means for them. Mm-hmm. And what's important about that is I think it's an important step moving forward, because you build the fundamentals, you build you're building a solid foundation moving forward. Because if you're that interested, let's face it, that is extremely important work to be doing in our beautiful ideals to have 100%. If you start there and you can absorb the loss and move forward and find a way to incorporate quality traits moving forward, that's a big deal. But you can't tell anybody who is dead set on it that maybe they should look at it a different way. They have to, I think, sometimes figure it out for themselves. Yeah. That's all I want to. I could talk for 4 hours on that, because that was a very painful, bloody financial pit of despair for quite a long time. And
well, DC's Bees makes a good point. He says everyone should keep their bees how they enjoy keeping bees. Just keep in mind this is what I think is important, is that we do have an open mind, but also that that we're careful about recommending certain things, in that realm to other people, because there are going to be some people, and it's so variable, like region to region. It's just different in different parts of the country. I mean, I personally know people that have gone treatment free, but it's after years and years of painstakingly working with their program, getting to that point to where they just take the best of the best, and they've gone through a lot of loss, and they finally have figured out they have some really good bees, but it took them 20 years, 10, 15, 20 years to get to the point they're at now. And so just got to be real careful and be wary, and just realize that if you decide to go down that route, and, it's not ever a problem if you want to go back to treating it back with the treatment. Don't give up just because it doesn't work for you. Maybe try a different approach if it doesn't work out for you. But yeah, Brian, what a rabbit hole you took us down right there, man.
Thanks, Brian.
It all started with Brian.
Knows the
question. The question was about Caucasians, and Brian has to bring that up. Good grief.
Well, the last unrelated thing we'll say to that is what we are finding is when we are. Here's the thing: we are arriving in a position that we initially started off to do, but we started off in a way where we couldn't get here without going through all this. What we're finding is in no way do we let me be really clear. We do not 100% do not market our current queen line as VSH, as hygienic, as mite resistant, as super silver bullet queens. But what we find is when we continually breed from the best and are choosing the traits that we are, what we're actually finding is lower mite counts as a consequence. So it is this unintended thing that's happening in the background as we push everything forward, because we are promoting healthier, I would say better lines of genetics than we've had in the past. That's an important thing to consider. There's a lot I want to say about VSH, and we're going to get Corey on to talk about that a little bit more. But when we were washing our bees in comparison, or you pick your assay, you pick your test of that's consistent for you, that gives you the information that you're looking for. What we're finding is, for that most of the year, our bees are keeping mite loads at 0 to 1% on their own without doing anything. No extra brood breaks, that just beekeeping. That's an important thing. That has never been the case in the past. And so over every year, it gets better and better and better. Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with Caucasians? Well, we have brought Caucasians into the mix, but we've brought in upper echelon, top tier Caucasian genetics into our mix, along with carnies, along with whatever feral stock are still kicking it here in the woods. That matters. So continuing your queen breeding program, moving forward, promoting good bees and healthy bees is important. So whether you're treatment free or not, that's something we all should be doing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. Get us fired up here. And
I saw another question that I had a chuckle. It was an internal chuckle.
Oh, what's he doing now, Bruce?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to mute this guy.
When he starts laughing before a question, there's
straight faced. This is a serious matter right here. We're about to discuss.
I hope you be nice. Be nice, Brian.
Brian, what do you know about Appy tablets? Wait a minute. Brian,
what?
What do you know about Appy tablets?
That's it. So, Catherine, that is a great question.
This is great.
How
Wait 1 second. Let's really put him on the spot. Brian, tell us how you really feel.
How can I say this? So,
Brian's going to get everybody in. Okay, let's say this. Try it and see what you think.
There you go. Yeah,
and let us know your feedback.
Yeah, so Catherine, I have sitting right over there, I mean, just out of reach, I have a box with some of them that I'm going to try, but my only feedback of what I will say, and I think some of that has been corrected already, I go back and I think about, and this is, well, somewhat related, but it's in beekeeping, is I go back and I look at the flow hive. Flow hive was marketed a particular way, and tons of people jumped at it, and it was marketing. Now, the Appy tabs, I think initially, the thing that kind of had me just a little bit, it wasn't sitting right with me, at least. It's technically a supplement. So seeing pictures of a tablet with bottom boards that showed mites was nothing related to a supplement. So if I want to buy a product that's marketed as a supplement and all you're doing is showing me pictures of a bottom board, why am I buying a supplement and not a registered treatment? And keyword I used there, registered. So, but I'll just leave it there. Try it, like they said, try it. But I'll say with anything new, make sure you're doing your due diligence and checking mite counts and checking things like that. Because if there truly was a silver bullet in the market, I think every single person from one coast to the other coast would be purchasing that product. Because we all want a silver bullet, like Greg said, but I don't think in beekeeping there is a silver bullet. But if that product turns out that it's an additional tool that I could put on my belt, certainly, yeah. But I am going to try it, and we'll see. It'll be kind of hard, like this time of year right now, for me to judge what they'll do. Who knows? Because like my bees are clustered right now anyways. So for me to put in a tablet that they're going to have to consume, they're not consuming anything right now other than what's in a cluster. So right now is kind of a bad time, I think, for me to accurately come to a decision, and say, yes, I will use them, or no, I didn't really see a benefit. So,
Bruce, what about you? Nothing about Appy tablets?
I don't know.
Is that how you say it? There's AP tablets, or
I don't really know anything about them specifically. I do know that we've talked a little bit about that, and I agree. It's a supplement, so use it as a supplement. But when I saw the pictures of the dead mites on the bottom board, there was a little bit of a disconnect there in my brain as to how they're the marketing. But someone in here said that Flow Hive also kind of corrected their marketing, and now they do teach beekeeping methods to people and how important actually management of the colonies is. And so, I think it's like Greg said, just give it a try and see what you think. If you like it, that's fine. If not, if it's a supplement, I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and it may help. So I'm not really on the bandwagon. I'm not off the bandwagon. I'm just going to kind of sit back and watch. I've got kind of my management things I'm doing now. I just can't do and try everything out there. I don't want to. I just don't want to get. That's what I've done in the past. I've done that so much to where I just try everything that's out there, and it's easy to get kind of lost in the weeds. And so I'm kind of trying to do the opposite thing and kind of streamline my approach and become more consistent. That way I can be more efficient. But when it comes to the new products like Appetite, I have nothing against them. I don't know anything about them really, except I have seen some of the stuff that's been going on recently with it, and that's fine. If it works for you, use it. But I may use them in the future, but right now I just spent quite a bit of money on some different products, such as the Hive Alive supplement, and I'm going to order some fondant. I also have some of the fondant from Super DFM. So I've got a lot of stuff that I need to use, and I plan on using it. So maybe down the future, who knows?
Yeah, that's them. Like DC said, I know the company's been around since the 60s. They've been around a while. And now the tabs, I don't know how long they've been around. But like you said, if it ends up that what Greg is holding right there, if it turns out to be another tool that in the beekeeping industry we have, great. I did hear also, and just, and I don't know what everybody knows about them, but I did hear through the grapevine also that they're currently like going through some research. So the product is being tested. So hopefully there's good data that comes out of it. I don't know, but time will tell.
Let's just keep an open mind on it and move forward.
That's it. Yeah.
I got nothing against
I've got
using
them here. And the thing that I was interested in them at first because kind of how they were marketed is they were some sort of a feed supplement, and the marketing was just gobs and gobs of mites. The pictures of bees with mites and mites on the bottom board. So I was kind of interested in just seeing what they do with mites, but then I got a little apprehensive personally because it seemed as though they were being marketed as a miticide, but they weren't a treatment. And so when I got to looking, at the price per tab, I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to put something in the colony, are these a dietary supplement, or are these a treatment? Or are these a supplement that has an unintended miticide consequence? And where this gets a little bit tricky for me is if we're putting something on that it says it's made in the USA. It says integrated pest management aid. I'm not sure what that means. Apply once in the fall, once in the spring.
Yeah.
Promotes colony strength and, ingredients, thymol, essential oils, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, sugars, manufacturer Apamon LLC. The thing about, I guess, where I'm confused is if this is a feed supplement that does so good on knocking down mites, it has to have a pretty healthy dose of thymol to do so. Because there are other products that we use that does have thymol, which I absolutely love and I think is beneficial, but it is at a correct tested dose where it helps with gut digestion, and it's a gut aid kind of a thing where there is not enough thymol in the colony to do anything. It's not going to kill mites. My concern is if there is something that we're putting in the colony that is a dietary supplement that has so much thymol in it that it is in fact killing mites, there's enough thymol vapor inside of there to affect any kind of open or wet honey. If that's the case, then you got to be careful on supplements in the colony at a time where you may have nectar being stored. That's just one concern that I have. The main thing is, though, outside of that, is we are all for products that are to keep bees healthy and to keep the viral loads down and to keep mites down. Whatever the product looks like, even whatever the price point is, that's between you and your budget. I just want to better understand where this thing falls with. It says here on the label, integrated pest management. So pest management to me is that mites. It's not here for wax moths or hive beetles. Pest management in my mind is mites. So if this is, so I guess I'm not comfortable enough with information about this one yet to put it in the colonies. Like you said, if they're studying it and they're going to do some research, maybe we'll know more about it and how this could fit into our integrated pest management. But I'm going to be careful in what I'm putting in there at the right times of year. There are a lot of things to use that have benefits. It's just kind of knowing what it is, why it is, and then see if that's a good fit for you. So we're interested to see how it turns out.
I think I'm probably going to do exactly what Brian said here. Save them until the spring. Because right now, truly,
do with them now. Yeah, what's it going to do?
Yeah, it's
if it's
if it's they're going to have to consume it. So I mean,
the
like
thymol has benefits. The thymol does have antiviral and antimicrobial benefits, but if this is such a high dose that's killing mites, that's where I'm there's a lot of gray area there. So I guess we'll stay tuned for future information on that once it's maybe a little bit more proven and tested.
Mm-hmm. I'll say though also just one last thing. When the Hive Alive products very first came out, and you literally, when you went on YouTube and you were looking up YouTube beekeepers, you saw the fondant. I remember it was in like a winter time, and I was seeing this fondant everywhere. And I was just like, what the heck is this stuff? And I was leery about that at first. I've always been one that, is kind of hesitant. So we'll see. Time will tell.
There's some folks who know a little bit about the product. It looks like James Lee Bees says it's 13% thymol. That's significant. Okay.
Grammy had a good comment there too.
Thymol is a 13% per tab, and the essential oil should be considered. They are made in Jersey. The owner is from Turkey. He lives in Jersey. Yeah. Oh, he lives in Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Lisa, Mamet, the owner, says 9 grams of thymol. Apigard, when we're putting it in grams, we're putting 50 grams on single colonies, and we're putting 10 to 12 on nukes. So there is essentially a nuke-sized dose of thymol in that tablet, if I'm reading that comment correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab something real quick because that's going to help me understand this, and maybe anyone else who's trying to understand this thymol. I'll be right back.
Did you notice how we've gone down another rabbit hole?
Yeah. Brian, you're the pot stirrer tonight. It is the day after Halloween, so you've been stirring the cauldron, stirring the pot up.
I did watch what was the show Hocus Pocus yesterday. That was my thrilling Halloween, was watching a kids movie when there's no kids in the house. So yeah, I
don't know.
I'm curious about it. That's all.
Yeah, no, I think we all are. We've been seeing it elsewhere. I just haven't really. I just got so much other stuff going on. I haven't made the investment to buy them yet. I don't know if I may in the future. Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah. Now
we've addressed the APA tablets, Brian.
Right. Yes.
Brian is just one can of worms after the other. The wonder why our thumbnail is us all going green is because we're going deep here. Okay, let's bring this up. It's important. Everyone knows what this is. Apigard, whether you buy yours in the green tub or you buy them in the self-serve. Does anybody know the active ingredient is 25% thymol?
You say how many grams, Greg?
Well, it'd be a 50-gram dose. So at a 50-gram dose, 25% of this product is thymol. So somebody do the math. And correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm calculating this backwards, let me know. But if this is a 50-gram dose and 25% of this 50-gram dose
could be 200 grams total.
No, 12.5 grams of thymol, right?
Yeah. So what we're saying is that there is as much thymol in one of these tabs as there is in one of these Apigard packets.
So 9 grams is in one of the tablets, and if 12.5 grams is in one of those,
full double deep dose,
you're close. You're at, what would that be, like 80% of the dose or something like that?
That's kind of a mind blower because,
wow,
is this a feed supplement or is this a miticide? If this is a feed supplement, disguised as a miticide,
or a miticide disguised as a feed supplement,
or is this a miticide disguised as a feed supplement?
So
that's enough? I mean, there is more. If I'm reading this right, and if I'm wrong, somebody who knows the math better than me. Where's Todd Prater? Todd Prater has a pharmaceutical background, he can probably do the backwards math on this.
9 is compared to 12.5. That's 72%.
So at what point does this become an FDA product or an EPA product? Or is that why this is not maybe marketed as a miticide?
So
the reason I ask is because instructions for this product states to use half of it in several instances, and even less than that in other instances, and this is a miticide.
Yeah.
So if this is an approved, registered, tested miticide, and this is at that dose, what we're saying is, for somehow this one's not. Why is that? And what does that mean? Why is it not? That's what I don't understand that.
So to break down, like I saw somebody saying here, does the FDA have to be involved with this? So the FDA regulates, according to the information that I have found out, the FDA supplements, beekeeping supplements fall under the realm of the FDA. However, they do not enforce it. So it's kind of like they're like, well, it's beekeeping, so they really don't enforce it. When a product is registered as a treatment, the EPA regulates any beekeeping treatments, and they do regulate them. So that's where you have two different umbrellas. Like you have the supplement realm where they're monitored by an organization within our government that could care less. And then you have another one that wants to make sure that every I is dotted, T's crossed, and everything else. So that's where I think some of that comes into play.
So this conversation goes south in a hurry because it's not so much. I want folks who are listening. I want you to make the call. You choose what's best for you and your bees, and that's none of my business. It's not that I don't care about you or your bees, but it's your business. You have to make that call, and that's what I stand for. Is for you making that call and you making that decision. I'm simply asking the question because I've never connected these dots at the same time, and I guess we're talking through this live. I don't understand how an Apogard at a 50-gram weight dose, 25% of what is in this pack right now at a 50-gram dose, 25 grams of the material inside of this is thymol. And I don't have the information, but it looks like the folks who had the information about this, what they're saying is, if I'm understanding this correctly, is that these are so close together that there is actually more thymol going into a colony in one tablet than there is half of an Apogard dose.
Hey, Greg, can you do something for me? And then after this, I'll stop.
Absolutely.
Can you do something for me?
Oh gosh.
Can
Bruce,
you
let him go? I like when Bruce smiles with his background.
Look at that, I know. Because his teeth go out.
Look at that. You got the bling.
Look at that.
Bruce is a rapper, man. Look at that. I like it.
Bruce Tyson. Can you open up that package?
Oh, this?
Yeah. Mine came opened up. Mine came, like 4 of them in mine came busted. So
I don't think any of mine are.
Yeah, mine came.
Truth be told, this is no one wants to hear this. We've talked about charcuterie. We've talked about faux gras. We've talked about Brian's very fancy wine restaurant dinner tonight.
Yes, blue cheeseburger.
And nobody wants to know this. I keep saying it because I have to keep repeating it, so I believe it. Susie has me on keto, so anything that resembles a cookie is tempting.
Golly.
So
just don't eat it. Don't eat it, Greg. Don't eat it.
I'm not going to eat it. Let's see.
I want to see you do one thing. So open it up. Now,
holy wow.
Take
Is it Thymol?
Oh, it smells like I'm out in the yard playing Apogard.
take one of the tablets. See, mine
If
didn't smell like that.
if I go home, when I get Apogard on my pants and I go home, Susie does not like that.
Take one of the tablets and set it right on top of the Apogard. I'm just curious as to the size.
The smell is so strong of Thymol.
Mine didn't smell like that because when mine arrived, the package was open. So, Mr. Cayman Reynolds.
Okay, so there's the Appy tablet.
Yes.
Probably looks like it's about a ½ inch by
½ inch.
maybe 2.5.
Well, can you set it on the Apogard?
What, like
I just want to see the size. No. Oh my!
What, like
the keto got you all jacked up?
Like this? Like this?
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Ooh. Boy, I smell like a. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
What's interesting is you look at this, and it's almost like it's the same thickness.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
This looks like it's a ½ inch.
Close, and that's probably what about
3/8. That's 3/8.
3/8, yeah.
If I didn't know any better, and you brought this into the shop, and you said, "What is this, and what's it for?" First smell,
rice cake.
It looks like an Apogard cookie. So here's the thing: this may be this could end up being a fantastic miticide. It's in a little different of a package, a little different of an application. If I could put this on a colony instead of fooling with syringes and gels, then I think that could be a great miticide for the Thymol. But it's not. Why I don't understand are they not allowed to call it a miticide for why? What reasons?
Yeah,
I guess
I don't know. Now
the price, the price gets to be. At scale becomes a little bit challenging. It's a lot more expensive than Apogard is.
If you think about it there too, like what you're saying, you could go down and
it's like a donut case, Brian. Look at this thing.
Right. Let's say you're sitting in Ian's shoes and you want to go down and Cayman just ding 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 ding. I'm right with you, Cayman. And you go down.
It came in was not registered.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's not registered. That is why they can't say anything about treating for Varroa.
Yeah.
It's not registered as a miticide. So that means testing and probably financially the money invested into testing for studies and that's interesting.
That would be though. I mean, if a product like that, I mean, you could go down and you being Mr. Burns, you are Mr. Burns. You could set the ones down the things.
Oh, are you kidding me?
People could follow right after you, and if you look back, you could say, no, you forgot one over on that one.
Here's the thing. I'm actually excited about this product because one thing that I hate about Apogard is fooling around with the syringes and cards. What would be fantastic is to crack our migratory lids with the patio rim on and plop one of these rascals right on top. The problem is you would need 2 of these to be a full dose of Apogard, right? Or is it one?
But you could slide them right in your entrance.
I don't know. I see Apogard works because they have to drag it from the top and drag it through the colony. And that's what gets the material throughout. So look
at Bruce's hat's disappearing. That's about the best thing an Alabama hat can do.
That's the I think the theme of tonight's chat is the disappearing Bruce chat. I think he wants to move on with the conversation or anything that could might be semi-controversial. Anyways, last thing I'll say on the Appy tablets, it is definitely has a Thymol punch that puts you in mind of opening up one of these rascals. And after you've gotten enough of those green tubs open and you get the Thymol in your beard and in your face and in your hat and in your eyes and in your ears and on your clothes and on your pants, and when you go home and Miss Susie says, "You're not crawling this bed smelling like that," you get pretty aware of the potency of Thymol. Those these thymol cakes or whatever, appy tablets, those I think could have a tremendous impact as a miticide. But
Yeah.
Registered.
but let's see what they do with it.
Okay, so in summary,
In summary,
what you do in your apiary is in your apiary.
is your business.
you, your bees, and your maker, you make the best call, you make the best choice. But why is it important to have anything registered? It's not so we are supporting big pharma and big business and big government and oversight. It's so that we know what we're putting in the colony at least has a certain risk or no risk.
That's right.
The views and opinions of the stream team are not.
Yes, we are not.
That was our legal disclaimer there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, my phone is blowing up with text, so it looks like we maybe struck an interesting chord with Appy Tablet.
Look at this.
Eddie Beshoner.
It's Southeast Louisiana.
Oh, that's probably French then, huh?
We need to get Mike Berry on here for this.
How do you keep hives strong as a Eddie? Thank you for helping us move along. Bruce really thanks you tremendously for that. How do you keep hives strong as a new beekeeper? I went from 4 to 20 and now down to 10. Wax moths have been an issue. I'm in Southeast Louisiana. I keep being told strong hives won't have issues. Bruce?
Yes, sir.
I'll repeat the question.
Well, I read the question.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I read it a while ago. How do you keep hives strong as a new beekeeper? I think strong hives won't have issues. I think there's a lot of truth to this, and that strong hives will not have wax moth issues for sure. One thing you need to do is manage your space, and that can be difficult to do. You want to have plenty of bees in the hive to defend the comb. And so obviously if your hives if the population is dropping down to next to nothing, the wax moths can come in and cohabitate with the bees, and eventually the wax moths, the beetles, and everything will kind of take over that comb, and the bees will end up absconding. But you want to make sure that you have appropriate space for the colonies. I like to see bees in both boxes, or in all the boxes I have, basically covering a majority of the frames, and an active enough colony to keep the wax moths out is kind of what I like to see. But like you said, Eddie, a strong colony can really eliminate a lot of problems. And by strong, that means strong, healthy bees, plenty of brood, plenty of food, and so forth. And so I would just tell you to keep them as strong as you can and then manage the space. Certain times of the year, you need to have fewer boxes or less space on the colony. Other times of the year, you need to make sure you stay ahead of the bees and have plenty of space on the colony. And that's something that you kind of learn with time. You learn that, one way you can avoid a lot of problems with that is if you can find a mentor to help you with that. That's a really good thing to do in your area, to know what your bees should look like at certain times of the year. But yeah, it's tough as a new beekeeper to really know what you're looking at and to know exactly what those bees should look like.
Well said, Bruce. Brian, anything to add to that?
No.
Now you've got nothing to say? I mean, come on, Brian.
No, and it's just because the different areas, like I've never had, in my area, I've never had a problem with wax moths. I've never had a problem with small hive beetle. So like that's out of my realm, just because I've never had an issue with them. So, and plus I can't add anything to what Bruce just said. So
good job, Bruce.
See?
Good question.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I like non-controversial topics.
Oh, come on, Bruce. Let's get in and roll our sleeves up. Let's see here. Oh, let's go from one controversial subject to another. Look at Bruce. We got his attention there. Look at him. He popped up there quick.
Yeah, but Bruce can't even answer this question because Bruce's winter lasts like 3 days. So
the question from Central Kentucky Bees is, do you guys use upper vents in the winter? Bruce, you go first.
Not really. I mean, I will pay attention to the moisture in the colony. If I have colonies that seem to be, there's condensation in the colonies, I may put a crack under a corner. It seems to help, but most of the time I don't have an issue with that, especially if they're kind of out in the sun. That keeps them, for some reason, it seems they seem to do fine. I have had some up in Ozark, of course, where all my problems seem to be. I have had some up there that have had issues with condensation before that were in the shade. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's more moist in the shade in the wintertime. I'm not sure, but I haven't had a lot of issues with condensation in my colonies too much down here. But yeah, it never hurts to have an upper entrance, a little bit of, ventilation going through the colony. I think it's a good idea, but I haven't had too many problems with it.
Laurel Reynolds, no wonder I can't get a hold of Cayman. Stream Team is on. That's
awesome.
funny.
Thanks, Laurel.
Brian, what about you? Ventilation.
I do. So, ventilation? Yeah, I do. I transitioned over last year to using the insulated inner covers, and they do have that upper entrance. They have that channel now, that insulated inner. It's, gosh, I don't know how thick it is, maybe 2.5 or so inches thick. And it's got that foam piece, that molded poly piece in it. And it does have a channel with an entrance in that. So some people were saying, that there are those out there, and I think Fred blocks his off. I did not last year. They worked out really well for me. So, and then they were saying, well, as far as like vent and all that type of stuff, if you think about it, and like wind, the channel in that thing is 8 or so inches, 8 to 10 inches, that little teeny channel. So how much wind will be able to blow in there and then ricochet down and really, get into that heat pocket that it's holding in there. I don't think it'll really have that much of an effect. I'm not planning on blocking off my upper entrances this year, so I will use them. Yeah. Plus that channel for me, though, too. Everybody knows I like my gadgets. That little channel was perfect where I could fit my scope in, and I didn't have to touch anything. I could just fish that little, it's almost like a bore scope, and take a look straight down at the clusters. So it's hilarious. That's almost the best that I've ever seen the A on that hat, is when it was just kind of vanishing and like
Atlanta Braves.
I gotta quit responding to people on my phone that are texting me.
It's okay. I don't want to interrupt. Just take your time. We're fine.
That's hilarious.
What's it doing? Yeah, it
Look
is.
at that. I love it.
All right.
Yeah, well, sorry. We're having fun, Bruce. It's all good. There's
okay.
All of our phones are blowing up. It's fun because you've struck a chord when folks know that you're streaming right now, and then are texting you info that they want you to have and know about what you just said, which was controversial. So I like that because we could be any stream chat version of anything, but the fact that we're throwing around ideas and we're comfortable with
my teeth
throwing it around is great. Cayman Reynolds asks, have you guys tried the fondant from Strong Microbials plus the Canadian rocket fuel?
Yeah.
Brian, have you?
So I'll say one of my trips down to Nature's Image Farm, there was a box sitting over at the one end of your showroom. And after all was said and done, and we're about to go out to the learning yard, Greg says, here's a brand new product. It's not even on the market yet. It's from Strong Microbials, so I had some of the fondant before it was, I think, even released yet. To say what it did, I don't know, I don't know. So I only used it one time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Cayman's same situation. I have a box of it to try. It's quite a bit, actually. I don't even know how much it weighs. It's a big old box, and
that's it.
I'm going to try it this winter. It's like Cayman said, it's been too warm, so I'm going to try it this winter. I'm actually, I think, going to call and talk to John about it before I use it and just kind of get some details on it. I've liked the Hive Alive fondant in the past. It's worked great, and I'm not really sure. Greg, you may have more information on what the difference is between this and the Hive Alive fondant, and when someone might want to use this opposed to the Hive Alive. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it gets to be a little tricky because, the unfortunate part about beekeeping is we are not protected from the us and them mentality, the Coke versus Pepsi. And the thing about it is John Turpin is an awesome dude and strong microbials. I am actually 100% sold and convinced on the power of beneficial bacteria inside of a colony. And we have seen firsthand what products like the P801 but the DFM does for colonies, and that's a whole long conversation for another day. So I believe in that 100%. When we were trialing this new fondant and product, we've become familiar with the Hive Alive fondant. And so we were, of course, interested in putting this on. And then this particular product here, he's gonna call me tomorrow, and John is like, it's almost freaky how smart he is about some of these things, and he just will go on and on and on. Some of the differences that as I truth be told, I was not interested at all in this because of the super fuel. As far as the Apis Biologics aspect, that part I can nearly cared less about. What was interesting about it, though, is being able to put probiotics in a carbohydrate form on top of nukes and colonies to have them have a slow, extended release dose of it rather than just sprinkling it on, hoping they would eat it, bring it through the colony. So for that aspect, I thought, hey, this is actually a very clever product. They're completely different than Hive Alive. I mean, the two are doing two completely different things. I don't know that I would be putting personally. I don't know that I would be putting. I don't see why you couldn't. But as far as what I want for a winter fondant, I think is going to be a little bit different than this product as a winter fondant. But some of the base differences. This is pretty much a carbohydrate carrier that is carrying the Apis Biologics product, and it's carrying the Strong Microbials product. So I think if you understand if that has benefit or not for you, then maybe that would be the product for winter feed for me. I'm going to go home smelling like it. I probably should go wash my hand because my hand's burning from holding that thymol cookie. But what I like about the Hive Alive fondant is the thymol in there. Anytime I can get thymol in the colony, it's a net win. It's huge gains for us. But if you like Apis Biologics, if you have seen results with it, and you're looking for some kind of integrated product, then maybe you would look at that. For me, I go with the Hive Alive fondant for the wintertime. Are there some other differences inside of there? I think the idea is to benefit the bees in the wintertime. The main thing for a fondant is carbohydrates. It's the additives in there. What are those actively doing with the colony throughout the winter that's going to provide the biggest net gain for them? I love the Strong Microbials. I don't know that I had seen any gains putting it on our nukes at the first part of the year. I feel like I've seen them take the product a little better in powder form. And as far as Apis Biologics, I don't really, we haven't tested it on 100 or 200 colonies to really see what it does. And that's primarily because the Hive Alive has worked so well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not really looking to change up the format on that quite yet. But what I have used, the Apis Biologics pollen patties, and we do have a video coming out where we've compared the Dadant AP23, the regular global patties, the global patty with Hive Alive, and the global patty with Apis Biologics. That's a little teaser future. Which one do the bees eat first? And which one tastes better to Greg? The world?
Yeah.
Never know.
I wonder what the result would be if you take half of a Hive Alive and half of one of those and just slap that bugger in there. And
I think you got to understand how we're talking about so many different things here right now.
Right.
Working in completely different ways for the benefit of the bees. That just because more of something good doesn't equal more good a lot of times. So understanding what is specifically the benefit of each product, and then you choose which one makes more sense for you in the condition of your bees, I think is the move.
Does John, and not to go down the DFM road, does he say to use super DFM throughout the winter months?
No, I've never had that conversation with John. Now, not to say, he could, the thing about, we'd have to have John, we've got a couple of videos with John to get back out, but what we're talking about here is inoculating. The goal is to inoculate the bee's digestive tract with, that's over here, you can't see, with the different strains that are beneficial.
Lactobacillus and
those strains are targeting, I'm looking here at the picture here, which it's targeting 3 separate systems within the bees themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? That is more geared towards when the bees are out and foraging and working and doing all those things. When we get into a winter cluster, how do these strains actually benefit or help the bee? I'm struggling to understand in that case maybe how they are, because what we're really talking about is winter food digestion, how rough that is maybe on the bees system, more so than inoculating them, because I think a lot of these products are more they buffer the microbials, help buffer outside influence and issues on the bees' gut health and system. I did see that question pop up about which one is more keto friendly. I have eaten both. And if it were up to me, if I was going to eat one of these, you wouldn't believe me if I told you how much of this that I have eaten. This tastes like juicy fruit married spearmint and had a fruity Mentos baby.
Really?
Yep. It actually tastes a little. We're probably going to have to John's going to have to put some stickers on here, some warnings.
Not for Greg's consumption.
Yeah, not just because Greg ate it doesn't mean you should eat it. Wait till you see this pollen patty video. Wow. Yeah. Just because it smells good doesn't mean it is good. But here on a serious note, though, I can tell you I have no more intestinal roundworms, and I highly attribute that to. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get them in trouble. But Kenny Bach, thank you for your $10 super chat. This has been a fun conversation tonight because it has been just a lot. It's been a lot of talk about nothing, a lot of talk about questions, and I actually like that. Just to take a question and run with it. It's actually fun. We're having so much fun that Bruce is taking notes.
And you'll notice
we wouldn't say.
The A is almost vanishing from his hat.
Look at that. Grammy, Lisa Gowan, she just loves Wednesday nights. Thank you for that super chat. Let's get a few more questions before we let Bruce off for the night here. We got to the vent question. That's great. Russell Caskell. Bruce, this is just for you. You ready? All right. Bruce, do you like your horizontal hive? How did it do this year?
Yes, I do like the horizontal hive, and it did well.
Okay, next question.
No,
all right, thanks, Bruce.
No. It's actually it did really well. You can go back and look at some videos. We kind of, Ricky and Ruth brought that thing down to me about a year ago. It was towards, I think, mid to late October of last year. And I had a nuke that actually had one of Greg's Pepto Pink Queens in there, which we discussed a little bit earlier, some of the Pepto Pink Queens. And the nuke was actually quite weak. I wasn't sure it was going to make it. So the way my horizontal hive was set up, he's got a main entrance in the middle and then 2 entrances on the ends where you can make those into 2 5-frame nukes. So theoretically, you can have 3 hives in there at once. But it was kind of a weak nuke. And so Ricky and I decided to try and put that little colony in there, a nuke in there, and just see how it would do. And last winter, that thing, I fed a lot of Hive Alive fondant, and it shrunk down to just a couple of frames of bees, just a little cluster. But boy, that thing exploded. And, I don't know even when it was. It was just small, and then it was big. All of a sudden, I opened it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this thing in there. So I moved all the frames to the middle by that entrance pretty much and really filled the thing up with frames, and they just exploded into that whole horizontal hive. We harvested some honey off it. I can't remember how much. We pulled some honey when we harvested, and now they're shrinking back down in true Caucasian form, I guess. They're down to probably 6 or 7 frames of bees now. And so I'm really not sure about the management. I really don't know what to do in the wintertime. I guess I need to pull some of those frames out or just leave them in there, let the bees try to defend them. I'm not sure how to manage it. I've never really managed a horizontal hive before, from a large colony back down to a smaller colony. So the short answer is it did really well. I really like the colony, and it is kind of fun to work because you don't have to lift boxes up and down and off of there. It's not near as physically taxing as trying to deal with, your typical Langstroth hives. But it's just a learning curve for me. I'm still not really sure. As far as using it for a large operation, I don't know that it would be very, very effective for what I want to do, but just to have a few of them around, if you got a couple of colonies, or if you have any medical or physical problems where you don't need to exert yourself as much, I think is a really good way to go. It's just a little different management style that I'm still trying to figure out.
Great answer, Bruce. Bruce?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. I can't get it to pop up here. Let's see.
Oh, Brian's showing us something there.
No, I saw Gary said you need to get a fleer.
Oh, come on here, Brian. Let's put you on the main screen here.
What is it?
He said I needed to get a fleer.
Man, Brian, you are red hot tonight. You are on fire.
He's yellow hot, man. He's yellow hot.
He's white hot.
He's white hot. Yeah, he's white hot.
Brian, are you wearing? Looks like you're wearing. Is that a hexagon T-shirt there of some sort?
I don't know what it is.
Who are you repping?
I don't know. It's some Italian thing. Vici, or I don't know what it is.
Is that what the kids call bougie?
The more important thing is...
look at the hat. Look at that. Nice.
Is the hat that I have on there. Yeah.
All right. Well, this conversation is going great.
Cayman's going to do a live chat this weekend, I just see here.
All right. Y'all check it out.
All right.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it in the evening, Cayman, on Saturday, because you know what's happening then. We got LSU's playing Alabama Saturday
night. What time's that game?
I think it's in the evening, like it's the prime time game. I'm not sure exact kickoff time, but
hey, Bruce,
yes,
knock.
Who's there?
Alabama
who?
Exactly. Come on. Huh?
You got me.
Sorry. Had to. I've been bad this week. Just silly dad joke, just the over punned out puns. I'm just okay. A couple more questions, and we're going to do everyone a favor by jumping off here for the night. We're already at we're actually at a 2-hour mark, guys. So I think did we manage to get through all the questions? Just a couple. Well, what do you call those fire rounds there at the end? Let's see.
Rapid fire. M&J Habitat. Greg, are you done feeding? Nope. I'm not done feeding. Well, I mean, sort of am, sort of not. I believe it or not, do not do this. I'm just saying I'm doing this because, well, I've got buckets on right now, and they're in the on feeding position on a lot of them, but it's because the buckets are empty and they've propylized them down. So rather than didn't have time to go out and get them off, they're still on there. But have you looked at the weather? The reason why I'm not done feeding yet, or why I should say why feeding isn't out of the realm of possibility yet, is if you've seen the weather next week,
I mean, this is silly. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're back in the 50s and 60s again. So you take these bees who have been hunkered down now for 2 days, warm enough to go out and go to the bathroom, nothing to eat. They're hunkered up. They're cold. They're doing this or doing that. What do bees do when it's warm enough to fly? They attempt to go forage. So now they're going to hit everything every chicken feeder, you name it. Anything that resembles protein or carbs are going to be in and on and after, which means they're going to start digging into their own food supplies. What does that mean for you as a beekeeper? Well, how strong, how big are your colonies? Do you have supplemental feed on there? This is not fear mongering. This is just a fact that bees, when it's warm, they forage. When it's warm, they have to eat. And when they are eating themselves out of house and home, what is your plan to make sure they've got enough feed on there? This gets into fondant talk. We've already been there, done that a lot this year, so we won't go there. You know what we're going to say. You got to do something. I'd like folks to start thinking about winter feed a little differently. I don't believe it's emergency feeding. If you are waiting for emergency feeding, I think the ship has sailed. I think you've already lost a lot of opportunity. I want folks to start thinking about it as insurance feeding. We're putting supplementals on as an insurance policy, and it's a cheap insurance policy to give them what they need just in case they need it. What we see is when we put things like the Hive of Life fondant on the colonies and let them cruise and let them roll, they choose to go to that, leaving the honey behind. And then when we get into the early part of the spring, they've consumed the fondant, but guess what they have inside of their own stores? They've got honey. Those are the colonies that absolutely explode when it comes time to making brood, building up, and doing the things that we need them to do. They've got honey on demand at that time of year. That's a big deal. We're not playing catch up on building the weight, putting weight on at the beginning of March. They still have weight. So what we're seeing is the bees just rock and roll, and they're just a way more tuned performance machine that way. So for us, that's why we invest in things. And even for us as a distributor, that stuff's expensive, right? But we're still putting it on because we're seeing some net gains. So
I switched up, and you guys know last year I switched up when I put my fondant on, and it was the weekend right after Thanksgiving. Boom, my fondant went on. And I remember saying last year in December in that I was when I was going around just to check them, I mean, they already had huge circles eaten out of the center of those fondant, patties in December. And I'm looking and I'm like, why in the heck are they? I mean, they were literally tearing into that stuff. And I'm like, did I screw up and not check this hive? So I'd go and I'd lift it and it'd be like, oof. It's like, no, they got weight. And I said it last year, I'm like, it's almost like they're going to the ice cream. They don't want the meatloaf that's down below. They want the ice cream that they got up above, is how I compared it.
And one thing, it's very hard for beekeepers to wrap their head around. And so rather than you just hear it from us, I want you guys to go take a little trip to Bob Benny's YouTube channel. And I want you to dig into some of his videos on food and what bees actually require. What you'll find is going to blow your mind, I'll pose the question here. You go do your research. Is capped winter honey the best food for bees? Or in general, is honey the best food for bees? That's another. Bruce, we've already allotted our items of controversial subjects for the night, so we won't dig into that one. But Ed Grizz Wingfield asks, how many grams of oxalic acid per deep using INSTANTVAP? Brian?
The plunger, I turned that baby until I couldn't turn anymore.
So he turned it to 11. Looks like Spinal Tap.
So,
Bruce?
Yeah, it's turned.
I'm treating mine typically with 3 to 4 grams, not per deep, but just per colony. And I'll if it's smaller, like if it's that's usually either 1 to 2 deeps or a deep and a medium. Mm-hmm. If it's smaller, like a nuke, I'll bump it down to 2. Is what I'm doing, and I know that I know what the actual, speaking of legalities, what we're, I know what they say we're supposed to do, but it really is, it's, anyway, that's what I do.
I'm just kidding, Bruce.
The bees actually seem to thrive doing that. It doesn't seem to affect them one bit. and I think I get a pretty good mite drop off of it. But I'm having to do that right now because we're coming up on that time, and I did have that one bee yard where I have a mite issue right now, so I've got to just get something on there to try to fix them. So that's what I'm doing. Going to hit them pretty hard.
Thanks for that question. It gets down another rabbit hole, but we don't want to take Bruce down. Again, we already drug him down through too many. But it gets into a conversation of, I want to be extremely clear here. And I'm speaking for all of us as the stream team, and if I'm wrong, just throw something at me, Bruce. We want you to do what's best for your management practice with your bees. Whatever that is between you, your bees, and your maker, and is none of my business. It makes never difference to me if you use a 0.5 gram or 16 grams. That's between you and your bees. A lot of folks have found, however, that the legal dosages of a lot of these things, they're not working, and that the doses that are 3 or 4 times higher than that. So tonight's conversation, when we're talking about thymol and all the different products, we are not the FDA or EPA or the registered product police. Truth be told, I could care less what you do in your apiary. That's none of my business. What I'm simply interested in with all these things is I do want to know, is there testing, is there information what dosages are effective, which doses are dangerous, and which dosages present problems for the products inside of the hive. Plain and simple. And that's every single one of us. So outside of whatever affiliation you have to any of the said products or the usage or the benefits, that's all I care about. A lot of these things we have to end up having to find out for ourselves as citizen scientists, as beekeepers. I get that. We've done that with a lot of things. It is what it is. So what you do, that's between you and your bees. Great question, Ed. Bruce really appreciates that. And Ed has another one. Let's see if I can get to it there. Ed Grizz Wingfield asks, have any of you done any testing with the Hive Hugger wraps? I've never even heard of them. Bruce?
No, down here it never gets cold enough to need any type of, wraps in the wintertime. I assume that's what that is, but I have not.
Bruce?
I haven't done that, no.
Bruce. Okay, guys, it's time to sign off. I'm calling everybody wrong. It's like when you call the kids the dog's name and vice versa, it's time to call tonight. Brian, good night. Brian, how about you? Any experience with or testing with Hive Hugger wraps?
No, I never heard of that specific brand. I have, if it's what the name says it is, it's a wrap that goes around your colony. I have wrapped my colonies in the past, but just with the number that I have now, even just in the teens, the amount of time that it would take doing all of that, I transitioned away from wraps and I used that insulated inner cover. They worked really well for me. So that's what I'm sticking to. And mine, my reasoning was, number one, time, and it's really, did I need to, I saw that little thumb pop up there, did I really need to do that? And that brings up, there's a word that we all love using, anthropomorphize. So
that's a $3 word. Good use.
Yeah. But no experience with that brand though.
Neither. That we all, like I said, we all have a little different ways to do it. I think that's, we spend a lot of time teaching and getting beginning beekeepers off to a good start here at the Learning Yard. And I think we see these type of questions early, usually with beginning beekeepers, because they are associating it's cold outside. What do we do for the bees so they don't die? In the conversation, it's the first easy thing to think about is the cold temperatures and the wind. And unfortunately, a lot of folks' approach early on is more revolved around that than it is knocking down any viral threat in the colony. And what we have personally found is that Sure, windbreaks and wrapping and all those things, they maybe are buffers of certain percentages, and what that percentage of improvement would be is hard to say. But the biggest thing that we have found, the most important key component of overwintering success, see the suspense there? No, is keeping the viral loads down. Keep the viral loads down, and your overwintering success goes through the roof. I'm going to throw this out there, not because it's another controversial feather in Bruce's cap, because he already has like 8 of those tonight, and that hat could use all the dressing up it could probably get.
Let's put a national championship patch on here. We'll put a championship patch on here this year. So
right.
That'll be good.
Yep, that's right.
Are they
Just remember,
even
Bruce,
make
if you're not first, you're last.
That's right.
Nobody. Look at that, a swing and a miss. No one's seen that movie.
You started talking about Alabama, and he smiled, and it's like his grill went on. Bruce's team is not playing tonight.
All right, guys. I'll say the last thing I wanted to say. It's a little sticker pack. We never got around to that. Nature's Image big sticker, a brand new stream team, and this brand new. We got some new art. We've incorporated the lighthouse into our logo. Be the lighthouse. First person to answer the question while sending the free pack of stickers, go to our website at naturesimagefarm.com. Hit that contact us. Shoot me a message. All right. No one's answered it. Okay. If anyone knows what movie that line is from, if you're not first, you're last. Name the movie in the comments. We'll send you the stickers. What I was going to say about wintering is keeping the viral load down is the single most important thing. We are running the majority of our colonies that are overwintering on 4-way pallets with a migratory lid with a standard 5-inch entrance. David Hunter. Nice.
So,
there it is. If this was like Jeopardy, do they have to say, what is?
No, they don't.
Spelling's wrong there. What is? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Lee got it.
That's
Lee,
hilarious.
was Lee the first? Oh, Brian. Brian Lee spelled it correctly. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh.
Talladega Nights.
All right. Let's do a screenshot right there. I've got Kodiak, Brian Lee, David Hunter, and B Amazing High. Whoop. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Let's do this. All right.
Oh, well, look at this.
Screenshot. Okay, I got a screenshot. Lee, shoot me a message. I'll send them to you. Shoot me a message with your address. Brian Lee, get me your address. David Hunter, get me your address. B Amazing Hives, get me your address. This is like the Oprah show.
I was just going to say, Greg, you just turned into Oprah.
You get a sticker. How about that? Anyways, last thing I want to say about that, our hives overwinter on 4-way pallets with a standard migratory 4-way pallet entrance with a migratory lid, no upper entrance, no extra ventilation, no wraps. Is that the right way? Is that the wrong way? I don't want to be crude, but it's none of your business. That's what I'm doing with my bees, and it's working. And I mean that respectfully.
Yeah.
It's working. The bees are living. They're getting through the winter. Why is that? Because we've knocked down the viral loads ahead of time. We put some insurance feed on top under a migratory lid. They cruise. They do awesome. They bust loose in the spring. They make more bees. The cycle continues. And the green grass grows all around. Guys, what do you think? What do you say we call it a night? I don't think we can handle any more controversy. I do appreciate that the phones are not exploding like they were earlier. It's all in good fun. I want to we'll do a quick recap. Brian, what's coming up in this next week for Brian Coper at Castle Hives in Northeast Ohio?
I tell you, I probably didn't even. I joined in too late, I think, to even give like an update of what was going on. But
how dare we?
Next week, I know. Well,
unprofessional.
I didn't leave enough in my super chat. The $20, that was my entrance ticket.
Oh,
and it was like I forget forgot the additional tip for like my update fee.
I mean, we could do a $20 entrance fee show. Anyone gives $20, we'll pop them on the screen. Right?
Yeah.
No, that'd get weird.
I forgot my update fee. But no, in the next week, I'm like you. I mean, I've got my buckets, they're in the off position because I was actually just, you brain like Ricky Bobby. It's hilarious. I was just looking at the weather, and like tomorrow we've got 49 and a low of 35. And then after that, we've got 50, 57, low of 43, 57, 43, 59, 44, 61, 51. So I left my buckets sitting on the colonies just because come Friday, I'm going to probably drive over first thing in the morning, flip them real quick. And if they can get another week, of feed on them, I'll let them have that week. And then after that, it'll be more or less just keep an eye on when I pull the buckets, and then I throw the insulated inners on them. But that's it. And then I did I did find a colony. I got to clean up a colony. So I had one colony abscond. My second one to do that in 7 years. So, and it was one of my great colonies that I literally have no clue. But I mean, I'm not really worried about it. I still have 15, so I still have enough, to keep me happy. So, but that's it. And I spent, gosh, the other day I spent over 3 hours cleaning up that room there, the honey building, just, getting things situated for the winter. And so I think I'm going to continue doing that, just cleaning up and making sure the bees are fed, and that late season, just getting things wrapped up, So that's it. So finally being home, not working in Cleveland Monday through Friday, where I can scoot over and do some stuff. So it's been nice. It's been nice in the last few days. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's the nice time of year if you can hit that little groove just a little bit, where it's just, okay, catch your breath a little bit, start putting the plan together. And before you know it, we'll all be down in Louisville, Kentucky at the North American Honeybee Expo, January 4th through 6th. The biggest, the best, is awesomest a word? If it was, it should be on every t-shirt for the conference. NAHBE for short. It is what it is on that one. We keep calling it Nobby around here. Nobby order this, Nobby order that. I believe there's still some tickets available. You can go to, just Google North American Honeybee Expo. Get your tickets. We are really excited to be there. Bruce, you'll be there, won't you?
Planning on it.
I hope so, because I just made stickers that have your face on it. I hope you're going to be there.
Yep, planning on
What's coming up in the next week for you, Bruce?
Oh, I don't know. Just trying to get this video out. I'm working on one right now. Hopefully by Saturday or Sunday I'll have it out or before. And just staying busy working and gonna treat my bees, some of them with oxalic acid vapor this weekend, and just keep checking on them. But we mostly have them put to bed for winter, I think, for the most part. Don't have a whole lot more to do actually in the bees, except just kind of monitor. Like you were saying before, Greg, down here, exactly what you mentioned is what happens all winter down here. We'll have a cold snap, then it gets hot and warm, then it cools down. And so it's a constant battle to try and keep weight on the hives and to make sure they have the nutrition they need, and to almost try to hold them back, but it's hard to do that. So, but here the next couple of months, they'll be going into a little bit of a brood down type mode. And then, but in really the first of the year is when they start ramping back up again. They just kind of turn it on, early January, and it's game on again. So we don't have much of a break here at all. But that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot going on. Just got work, and gonna hopefully go to a football game up at Troy with Brian Lee tomorrow night if we make that happen. And then football stuff going on. It's a fun time of year for me. I love the fall. For a lot of reasons, but Beekeeping wise,
for you.
slowed down a lot. Yes, slowed down a lot beekeeping wise, and I'm okay with that.
Well, Brian, thanks for derailing the conversation again. First, it was controversial subjects. Now you're bringing in a cute pup. Look at old Eli. He's getting big, huh?
Yeah. he's in 17 days. This is when you know you really are hitting that point in your life where, I mean, you kind of just make up things to do. But in 17 days, we're going to be having a birthday party for our puppy.
No.
I'm serious. We are.
That's awesome. Happy early birthday, Eli. In case we're not there in person to help you cut your cake, we just want you to know we're rooting for you.
We are too, having a birthday party for him.
Well, wow. Guys, what a great chat. Everything from the dog's birthday cake to treatment free or bust. Hey, whether you're treatment free or bust, whether you are just in there, whether you're the type where it's nuke them all and let God sort them out, whether it's the nappy tablet, Hive Alive, it doesn't matter. We want you to know that we appreciate you being here. We love you and your approach with the bees. That's what makes this thing go around, is the diversity, kicking around ideas, being able to talk about things openly, sharing what we're doing, what our thought processes are. It all matters, because at the end of the day, not a single one of us had this whole thing figured out. And I would be extremely leery of the person who pretends that they have all of the answers. What you find with beekeeping is the more you learn, the less you know. It feels that one door opens to another, and that's a continual process with beekeeping. And I think that's what brings a lot of us back to it. So within beekeeping, we are not some special tribe of humans that is protected from us and them. It is not protected from division. It is not protected from all the things that constantly want to separate us in our passions and the things that we love in life. Just know that if we have a different opinion, a thought process, methods, context, scale, ideas, or even if we talk funny like Bruce, it doesn't mean that we're different and that we need to have a divide with all this. Like the honeybee is to the hive, we're better together. You look inside that colony, you see the diversity. It's important that we maintain that, and we do it in a way where we're maintaining integrity, that we're loving each other while we do it, and that we are appreciating everyone's different approach. And so I want folks to keep that in mind. This is the time of year where a lot of folks are burnt out and they're trying to figure out what do we do moving forward for next year. We ramp up and have the same, beekeeping cycle where we go through the winter. Some folks forget about it for a little while. They get back on board. They get pumped up because they go to a super awesome bee conference in January where there's lots of folks, lots of people. They get ramped back up. They get back into the bees and they keep going every single year. And so I feel like a lot of these things, I just want to throw it out there. Don't let what we do different be the divide. What is that sound, Brian? Wow. I mean, what a show. I mean, this is, wow. Just, I don't know. This is just, wow, fantastic. What I will say is if you're interested in Brian's squeaky purple polka dot duck toy, it probably won't be making an appearance at the North American Honeybee Expo. Wow.
You never know.
What do you say we just wrap this thing? Know. I mean, this is just, it's like a train just got derailed and we're just all watching. We're just sitting out here watching it. David Burns, thanks for tuning in. David, I've got an interview with you here at the Creator Convergence where we dig into the discouraging challenges and struggles of creating videos and putting yourself out there for folks. That video is going to come out. I hope to have that releasing tomorrow about 5 o'clock or so. I hope you guys check that out. David has a lot of great points about it. It is not, sometimes you put these videos together, you pour your heart, your soul into it. You want folks to get a piece, to be able to see and appreciate what you're doing. And, sometimes it doesn't go over well, but you keep doing it, you keep digging in. A lot of folks want to quit. It's not easy. So we had a great conversation here at the Creator Convergence at Nature's Image Farm with David Burns. So be sure to check out that video. Hope to release that tomorrow here on the Nature's Image Farm YouTube channel. I want to thank Cayman for hanging out tonight. Cayman has a chat. Looks like he might do a chat this Saturday. So that'll be awesome. I love the fact that Cayman is calling his conference Bee Expo and not Nobby, especially after we just had all these T-shirts made for Nobby. That would have been nice to know like a month ago. I'm just kidding. I like Raz and Cayman on the Nobby versus Bee Expo. But the stream team will be there January 4th through 6th, Louisville, Kentucky. The North American Honeybee Expo. Make sure you get your tickets. There's so much I want to say about that, but I can't. But there is going to be some incredible product reveals that you've never seen before. Truly innovative products that are really going to make a huge impact and a huge difference in beekeeping are going to be unveiled at that conference. It's going to be awesome. The stream team, we will be there. We will have the podcast booth set up. We're going to be taking interviews and talking with folks and sharing our experiences, learning more about how they're keeping bees in their context. Nature's Image Farm is going to be set up. We'll have our wax-dipped boxes, our bucket feeders, plugs, a few other items too. If you're interested in learning more about our specials for the North American Honeybee Expo, you can go to our website at nature'simagefarm.com. There's actually a product that we haven't even put on the conference Facebook group special yet, but it's just us three. We have Jester nuke boxes at a super smoking price, and so if you're interested in getting some Jester nuke boxes, get them while you can. You can go to our website at nature'simagefarm.com. Check that out, guys. I don't know what else to say other than I think the real star of the show tonight is Brian's squeaky quacky purple polka dot Quackman toy.
I think it's just Brian in general.
Brian is just the man tonight. I mean, he's bringing it all.
He's bringing the heat.
He's bringing the heat. Look at that.
Open up a can tonight is what he was doing.
Opened up a can. There's a lot of comments here. I'm going to thank everyone for spending some time with us tonight on the Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. If you listen in live tonight, if you're listening to the replay later, or you're tuning in to the Nature's Image Farm podcast, we want you to know how much we appreciate you. We thank you guys. We love you. We appreciate your support. It means everything to us. Looking forward to seeing you again real soon. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, we want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.